Hello goblins, it's Chris, Eldritch Pipes. It feels really good to be making pipes again, so good. I was drilling the first pipe today, man, I couldn't be happier. So I'm working on an author. It's going to be quite a big chamber in this guy, bigger than my normal, which is 7/8. This is 13/16. Why I work with imperial measurements on pipes, I do not know. I think it's because the first pipe chamber bits I sourced were from the States, and what can you say? So that's going to be an author. It's looking pretty clean. Quite happy with that guy. And I've drilled what will be a Viking horn. Also looking, hopefully, quite clean. See just a pit or two on the sides, but I think they're going to shape out well before I get to the final shape. So that's pretty cool. But this week, I've contracted a bit of a cold. So it didn't feel like reviewing a tobacco today, which was the original plan. Because I've got a tin that I've had for a while. Bought it when I was out in London. Tree mixture. I think it's a Robert McConnell blend, but I'll have to check that. So instead, I'm going to do look at some whiskies, like I threatened. Now, I wondered how I was going to go about this. I don't really want to do a introduction to whiskey as such. Lots of people out there have done like Whiskey 101, and you can find all that information anywhere. I really just wanted to pluck whiskies from my cabinet and have a taste and tell you about them. I was having a chat with somebody who was posting in the last video. Sorry, forgot your name. Might be Andrew. He just asked me what my favourites were, and it's like, well, you can't. That's really hard to narrow down. But I started talking about my favourite easy drinkers and favourite sort of Nirvana, takes you to Nirvana type whiskey experiences. I thought maybe that would be one way of going about it. So this video, I'm just going to pick out two of my easy drinkers. Now, actually it turns out that one is readily available, you can pick it up anywhere. One is now out of production, so you can't pick it up easily. That's just the way it is. It's been sitting in my cabinet. I've got so many, I just sip away at them, and bottles tend to last for quite a long time. One of the bottles I'm going to show you went out of production in 2015, so it's been it's 4 years out of production. And apparently, quite sought after. I've drunk most of it, so there's no selling a half bottle here, but anyway. So, what's the first one? First easy drinker. Okay, I didn't discover this one until quite a little way into my whiskey journey, surprisingly. There's so many big names in whiskey now. Whiskey has had a renaissance probably in the last 20 years, where the distilleries have really spent a lot of time and effort in educating the public about their product. And as a result, we know more, and there are more names. More distilleries are producing their own name whiskies instead of putting them into blends and nobody hearing about them. But anyway, these guys are a big name no matter who you are. It's just I didn't come across them for quite some time. And this whiskey, anyway, is the Dalmore. And this one is the Dalmore 12. Strangely enough, I actually prefer this over the 15, which is possibly an unusual position. That stag device on the bottle is amazing as well. But let me tell you about my whiskey preferences. I'm not a fan of the sherry style. So you have the Highlands, which are more known for a kind of floral style whiskey. You have Islay, Little Island, really known for its peated whiskies. You have Campbelltown, which is kind of its own thing. It's not that easy to pin down. It's a small area. I think it has just 2, maybe 3 distilleries. We're going to look at some from there in a bit. But and then the other major area is Speyside. And Speyside is known for the Sherrod style. And the Sherrod style, I have 1 or 2, and it just doesn't, it's not my big thing. For me, sometimes the sherry character gets in the way of the whiskey to me. It's almost like somebody's just mixed some sherry in the whiskey, and sometimes that might even be the case. But anyway, so I prefer whiskies aged in bourbon casks, or virgin oak seems to be a thing. If there's any others that are popular, let me know. Anyway, so this is the Dalmore. What's nice about this is distilleries change their entry-level whiskey from time to time. I don't know what the one was like before this, but the guy who came up with the current entry-level whiskey is a genius, because this is 50%, this is aged in bourbon casks and then aged in sherry casks for a lesser period. So I think it's aged in bourbon casks for about 9 years, and then the final 3 in sherry. Now that gives me a balance that I like. The sherry doesn't dominate, it just adds some fruitiness. For a 12, it's quite well coloured. It is quite well coloured. Quite a lot of 12 years are more of a hay colour, a lighter golden colour. But the Dalmore, must be the sherry influence, takes it into that ruby spectrum. And you can really smell that kind of, that mustiness is in the background and it really influences. But you've also got this kind of like caramel from the bourbon. It's a super smooth whiskey, which is what I like about it. There's not much astringency there at all. It's fruit cakey. That's the kind of the sherry influence. But it's got this like just spicy, this mellow spiciness. I really enjoy it. I kind of do think of it kind of as a Christmas kind of malt. Gets around to Christmas and I remember the Dalmore again. Really nice whiskey. All right. So the second one. Yeah, so I didn't realise until I was just doing a little bit of research that this guy had gone out of production. But, so I don't know what I'm going to do when I finish this. But this is the Hibiki 12. This is a Japanese whiskey, if that weren't obvious enough. It's a blend. Funnily enough, depending on where you find the read-up, some say it is just a blend of single malts, which is a thing, and some say that there is some grain whiskey in there, which is, done right, no bad thing. Obviously, grain whiskey in the past has had a bad name for itself because people think of it as being the cheaper, kind of mass-produced, paint stripper. But actually done right, it can be an amazing whiskey in itself. And in fact, there's a whiskey that is a single grain whiskey that I'll show you at some point, and it's amazing. Anyway, this has got lots of unique things about it. Amazing bottle. Look at it, it's so 70s, really chintz 70s, but I don't know, it feels really classy to me. Aged in everything, almost, because it's a blend. Some whiskies have been aged in bourbon casks, some in sherry, some in Japanese oak, I believe, and part aged uniquely in plum liqueur casks, which I think I've never heard of that before. And unfortunately, the expression that has replaced Habiki 12, called Habiki Harmony, doesn't seem to have had the same process. But all the whiskies in the blend are a minimum of 12 years old. Some older, I believe, in this one. The nose is really strange for a whiskey. It's fruity, but it's this kind of clean fruit. Vaguely floral. There's a kind of a funk to it that is quite hard to put your finger on. And a kind of a pronounced sort of vanilla note. A kind of a lighter golden colour there. It's got a bit more power to it. This one's bottled at 43%. And it really helps it kind of explode in the mouth. But I say explode, it's just very vibrant. It's quite a sweet whiskey. Again, really smooth. But you get the sweetness, and then there's this little hit of power to it. No, very little sort of alcohol bitterness. Just right on the finish, maybe. But, wow. Such a nice drink. I can't believe it's out of production. That's a bum. Anyway, so if you ever have the chance to taste any of those two, I would snatch it out of someone's hand. Hope you enjoyed that. I'll be doing some more in the weeks to come, I should imagine. Until then, I guess I'll be back with some pipe news soon. So watch out for that. Till then, take it easy, and I'll see you soon. Ta-da, chaps.